Welcome into another episode of the Movie Geek Podcast. I'm your host, George T, and as always, bring you some knowledge today about movies that are based on video games. This is going to be a two-part episode because there's so much, just kind of like when I reviewed all of Marvel movies that were outside of the Marvel universe and so on. There's a lot to get to in this, and I did not want a long podcast, so I'm going to break these up into two. The reason why I'm doing this podcast is for a little knowledge, and because there are two movies coming out this month. One is Minecraft, which when the trailer dropped, and I will show the trailer, hopefully it will not get copyrighted. But there was outrage over how bad it looked. They've kind of tweaked it a little bit, but still looks pretty bad.
Don't worry! I'm gonna cushion our fall with this water bucket! Release! In the overworld,
wow,
anything you can dream about, you can create.
So they built all this?
Yeah, most of it.
Hola,
that thing doesn't understand a word you're saying.
we're talking.
Life here was perfect. Until one day, Flint and Steel, we came across the Nether. A place with no joy or creativity at all. You! What are you making? Oh! If they get their way, this beautiful world and everything in it will wither and die.
Bio con Dios. It means goodbye, brother.
No, it doesn't.
Don't look at her. It does.
If we want to save this world, creativity is key to survival. Now what? Elytra wingsuits.
Bye-bye. Those things work, right?
Absolutely. Coming in hot!
I got something for you.
I love Blue House. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
This place makes no sense. Let's do this.
They want me to fight the chicken?
Chicken jockey.
Oh no, not again. Oh my god, are you all right? Your head is huge.
And then, of course, my number one anticipated film this year is Until Dawn. So both those video games are coming out. There's also some more coming out later on, but those two are the main ones for this month. Let us get into this episode because it's going to be kind of long. Video games have been adopted from movies, but we're going to look at the movies that were made from video games. As we all know, video games almost died in 1983 when a little game called E.T. came out. I actually still have a copy of it. No, it is a very rare game right now, so I'm hanging on to it for maybe safekeeping for now. I wish I had the box for it, but I played it when I was a kid, and it is god awful. So, if anybody is familiar with this, but E.T. came out in June of 1982, and it was due out during Christmas time. They rushed it to get it out. They couldn't figure out the best dynamics for it, and so on, and it was just god awful. So the year of Christmas '82, it was a complete and utter failure, and by the beginning of '83, it threatened to kill video games as we know it permanently. The games were pulled off the shelf. The ones that were still in the warehouses were all picked up and dumped into a landfill. And there was a whole documentary on somebody actually figuring out where this landfill was that had these, because Atari had said that, oh, we didn't we didn't dump them anywhere. They were destroyed, incinerated, or whatever. And there have been plenty of people who have been looking for them, and lo and behold, somebody did find them and unearthed all of these ET games. Now, I still have mine, and I won't part with it until maybe someday I will. But um, I still think it works. So if anybody out there is looking for an ET game for an Atari, I mean, who has an Atari nowadays? A lot of people might. You might have it as a relic. I know, um, I had one. My son George played with it when he was younger. He obviously thought it was awful because it wasn't like all of the PS4 and the PS3 that we had, the Wii, um, and so on. And now we have the PS5 and the Xboxes. Look, Atari was good for what it was back in the day. There were 3 video game consoles on the market by then. It was Atari 2600, ColecoVision, and Intellivision. And ColecoVision and Intellivision had the worst joysticks in the history of joysticks. They look like phones with little D-pads. Although the Intellivision ones were awful to handle. They were big, like if you watched a movie in the 80s when people had the phones, like the cellular phones in their hands in the late 80s, early 90s, the big things, those were what it looked like. And they were god awful to handle. And I had a group of friends, and I had Atari, one had Coleco, and one had Intellivision. And we used to go around to each uh, person's house and play. Well, we hated going over to the Intellivision, but he was our friend, so we had to. Okay. So anyway, Atari ET basically almost destroyed the entire video game system as we know it. Companies scaled back, and then by the end of '83 to '84, they started making video games. One company in particular, Nintendo, came out with their Mario Brothers. So, in 1993, the first arcade game that was made into a movie was Super Mario Brothers. Um, yeah, not the best video game version of Super Mario Brothers, but hey, you got to start somewhere. It was May of 1993. It had a Rotten Tomato score of 29. It was made by Buena Vista Productions. They're no longer in existence, and they made $389 million at the box office. This movie starred Bob Hoskins as Mario, John Leguizamo as Luigi. Princess Daisy was played by Samantha Mathis. President Koopa was played by Dennis Hopper. So, if you know those actors, basically, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the clips that I'm going to put up. This movie was just downright terrible. Lance Hendrickson and Frank Welker were also in this film. Um, just as a side note, there, um, it was bad. It was downright bad. Yeah, that's all I got to say about this movie. To be honest, Double Dragon was next. If you've ever played Double Dragon, oh, what a cool video game! It was about two brothers going after a girlfriend that was kidnapped by a drug lord, uh, and they had so many cool weapons that you could use. Um, the controls were a little hard at times, especially when you're trying to jump up onto um, levels and so on. But really, uh, I love the video game. So somebody thought it would be a good idea to make this into a movie because we were doing fight movies. We had the blood sports and um, you know uh, other fight movies. So somebody thought it would be a good idea to do this. And in November of 1994, it was debuted in the theaters. So yeah, this one made only 4.2 million in the theaters. Yeah, not very good. And it was god awful. And I will name off who's in this film, and maybe you will agree. This was done by Gramercy Pictures. Jimmy Lee was so Jimmy Lee and um, Billy Lee played brothers. Clearly, Alyssa Milano played Marion, the girlfriend of Jimmy and Billy, who played Mark and Scott in this film. And then you had Robert Patrick as the evil uh, drug lord in this film. Who, um, yeah, again, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see how bad these clips are. Um, Also in this film, Vanna White, Andy Dick, um, just absolutely crazy, um, just just nuts. um, so we're batting 1,000 right now with movies. I don't know why we made them. Uh, don't know why. It's kind of like the MCU, the first Marvel movie that was ever created was Howard the Duck. Why? Around that time, Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter games were very popular. Obviously, Mortal Kombat had the first R rating of any of the video games. People or parents protested because of the fatalities and the kills and whatnot. And Street Fighter was just a regular game, just you know, button mashers, delight, or you could figure out how to pattern your attacks. So somebody thought Street Fighter getting out there first would be a good idea. Also, 1994 in December, right around that Christmas time. Yikes. It made a paltry 44.4 million at the box office. It also had an 11 Rotten Tomato score. So, yeah, you can tell this is a bad movie. And it was. Jean-Claude Van Damme played Willie Guile. Ming Wan played Chung Ling. Kylie Minogue, a model, played Lieutenant Cammy White. And the late Raul Julia, who had died right after, about a few months later from cancer from this in this movie, was General Bison. Okay. Um, yeah. 3 for 3 on just terrible, terrible movies. But I digress. So, Mortal Kombat, with all of its star power as far as video games are concerned and all of the hype around it, somebody decided to jump on it. And guess who's jumped on it? Paul W. Anderson, who has done a lot of these video games. He's done a lot of good directing as well. He came out with, in August of 1995, Mortal Kombat. It made 124.7 million at the box office, so we're starting to get up there. Paul Anderson is definitely a good director. This one had a 47% Rotten Tomatoes, New Line Cinemas. Christopher Lambert played Lord Raiden. Um, Robin Chen played Liu Kang. Um, Lindsay Ashby, Lyndon Ashby played Johnny Cage. Um, Bridget Wilson played Sonya Blade. Um, and Francis Pett played Sub-Zero. I loved Sub-Zero. Talis Jean played Katana. And I'm going to butcher her name, but Shang Tsung was in this movie as well. So I'm not going to bother. So this movie was actually pretty decent. And a lot of people liked it. Obviously, with a 40% Rotten Tomato score, it was a pretty decent film for a video game adaptation. Um, Obviously, storyline is, Outworld is being trying to come into the human world, and we've got our brave fighters to stop the Outworld invasion. So, obviously, clearly, Rotten Tomatoes score doesn't really matter, but it was one of the first films that made money. So, Paul Anderson did not want to do a sequel, but in 1997, in November, Mortal Kombat was sequeled, Annihilation. Some of the characters did not return, and some did in a limited role. Johnny Cage was killed off in the first few seconds of the movie on the opening, played by a different actor. Sonya Blade was played by a different actress played by Sandra Hess. We introduced Jax. Lynn Williams played the metal arm Jax, and some other new characters in there. And we had a different Lord Raiden. James Reardon played him. This movie absolutely bombed. Made 51.3 million. It had a four Rotten Tomato score. Yeah, it was bad. I know they wanted to probably keep the franchise going, but after that, again, somebody took the place of Paul Anderson, who did not want to do a sequel because he was pretty much content on just one and done with Mortal Kombat, and he was right. He was right. They should have just left it alone. So, the first of the computer video games comes out. You had the hot actors at the time in this film, and this film absolutely was a disaster. Wing Commander, March of 1999. It made $11.6 million. It had a huge budget, and it was a 10% Rotten Tomatoes. The hot actors at the time: Freddie Prinze Jr., Matthew Lillard, and Cypher Burrows. Mark Hamill also voiced a character in this computer program. Yeah, it is absolutely just a disaster. Um, Again, a lot of people didn't know about Wing Commander because it was a PC game at first, and then it tried to come over to the consoles. It didn't work out, and somebody thought it would be a good idea to make it because sci-fi was hot back then, um, and it just wasn't the right mix. So So we wait a little bit and we get Laura Croft's Tomb Raider in 2001 in June. Simon West directs it. Angelina Jolie plays Laura Croft. Uh, Ian Glenn plays the leader of the Illuminati. John Voight plays her father. Daniel Craig plays a archaeologist in this film who is trying to get the treasure before Laura Croft. But I will say it was a box office success at $274.7 million. It was not a Rotten Tomatoes score best, but it was a 20%, and it was produced by Paramount. So this one actually makes money. Angelina Jolie obviously was really at her peak at the time, so they were right about casting her as Lara Croft, and people were interested. The story was not the best. I didn't particularly care for this movie, but it made a lot of money. So, with that being said, 2002, we get the return of Paul W. Anderson as he ventures into Resident Evil. And he spawned a bunch of sequels, not all directed by him, though, and we'll get to that soon. But this one made $103 million at the box office. It had a 36 Rotten Tomatoes, came out by Sony. Mila Jovovich played Alice. Michelle Rodriguez was in this movie. She played a corporal in the uh, Umbrella Corporation's rescue team. Uh, the T virus is set off in the underground Raccoon City, and Alice and this group of mercenaries has to go in and find out what happened and why it was released. And it sets off the uh, nerve agents that killed off the people but made them into uh, walking zombies, basically. Um, they're trying to suppress it, and there's a cure which they are able to find and bring back to the surface. And then that just propels the entire rest of the movies from there. Now, I also heard that Resident Evil didn't stick to a lot of the original gameplay. Look, I thought it was a good movie. I actually do own them, so I didn't think it was that bad. But we'll get into the rest of them afterwards. Um, so Paul Anderson does another great job. He makes some money. 2003, we get in July a sequel to Lara Croft, Tomb Raider. It's called The Cradle of Life. Everyone returns. Gerard Butler winds up in this movie, and he is trying to stop Lara Croft in this movie. Yeah, this one still makes a lot of money though, at 156 million point, 0.6 million, 24 Rotten Tomatoes. So Lara Croft as a whole makes a ton of money, but on the scale of good and bad movies, they are universally revered as bad. So, again, storylines just terrible. But Angelina Jolie plays a pretty good Lara Croft. That's about it in these movies. The acting at times from others is just downright dreadful. So now we get into this one, and I want to talk about this guy afterwards in the second part when we're done with this. Uh, so this guy by the name of Wee Bull directs this film, and he's going to direct a lot of these a lot of films here. And I'll get into my thing in part 2 when we get to the end of it, because you're going to hear his name a lot and you're going to hear the same themes. So, Rotten Tomato score 3%. It makes 13.8 million. It is called The House of the Dead. If you've ever played House of the Dead, it's a first-person shooter, um, and you are, uh, trying to kill zombies. This film was set on an island, um, and these strangers are partying on an island, and all hell breaks loose. The acting is absolutely terrible. I'm not even going to announce who was in this film because it's not even worth my time. But some reason this guy thought it would be a good idea to put out House of the Dead, and it bombed. Bombed. Next year in 2004, we get Resident Evil Apocalypse. So we get the follow up to Paul Anderson's Resident Evil. Alexander Witt takes over as the director of this film. It makes 129.3 million, so the franchise is doing pretty well. This one gets an uptick, although it was down huge in the Rotten Tomato score at 15. But some of the same, obviously, Alice is back. We've got the introduction of Jill Valentine, Steny Gilari. Again, gonna butcher names. Um, Ian Glenn plays Dr. Isaacs. He plays him in a ton of the rest of the way. And we get Matthew Taylor as Nemesis in this movie. So Matthew Taylor lived as her um, ex-partner, I think, in the first one. He winds up getting scratched by one of the uh, Nemesis dogs or whatever. There's some kind of an alien type dog. Uh, it winds up going into his blood, and he winds up being in the Nemesis program. Um, so Alice wakes up from Raccoon City being destroyed because the virus got out, and she's trying to survive. Jill Valentine was a big, popular uh, character in the game, so they had to bring her in. Also, Carlos Oliveira was played by Obed uh, Hahn. Again, I'm butchering names here. He was in The Mummy. Um, so we got that movie, and so Resident Evil is starting to take off at that point. So people are liking it. Critics obviously aren't liking it. It is what it is. Because again, they're video games. They're adopted from video games. That's how it works. And then we get this game was not a very good game, but somebody thought it would be a good idea to make this a video or a movie. Alone in the Dark. Oh, that's right. Weeble again. He makes this movie. It makes 10.4 and it has a 1 Rotten Tomato. Now, what was interesting about House of the Dead, it was made by Artisan. This one, he was able to get Lionsgate to fund this film. And Christian Slater and Tara Reid and Stephen Dwyer are in this film. It is absolutely horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. It should have stayed in the dark. Let's put it that way. Yeah, just absolutely terrible. All right, now on to a game that was pretty popular on the PC and then was crossovered. Um, and one of these first-person shooters that everybody really, really loved playing. Uh, comes out October 2005. It only made $56 million, 18% Rotten Tomatoes, but Universal put it out. It was called Doom. Um, Carl Urban plays John Grimm. Dwayne The Rock Johnson as Sergeant um, Asher, and then Rosamund uh, Pike plays Dr. Samantha Grimm. So this movie has a portal jump from Earth to this planet. Samantha is obviously um, John's brother, who he has to save her from what is going on the planet. They discovered an alien species, and you know the rest of the drill. Um, and then there's, which I thought was pretty cool, is they actually went through the first person, that POV first person shooter thing where you could see the gun and the reload and boom, boom, boom. It was pretty cool. I actually liked it. I actually do own it. But it didn't make a lot of money at the theater. It was a strong hit when it came to DVD or Blu-ray. So, um, so there was that one. Then you had in the following year, in January 2006. Oh, that's right. We get Weeble again. This time he gets his own production company to start. Blood Rain, 3.6 million, a 4% Rotten Tomato. Good cast. Uh, Christiana Lincoln, who was the female Terminator in Terminator 3. She was in it. Michael Madsen, Ben Kingsley, Michelle Rodriguez, Meatloaf, and Billy Zane. Billy Zane was in Titanic. Meatloaf is a singer. Michelle Rodriguez, okay. Ben Kingsley, come on, man. You're better than this. You're better than this. This movie was absolute trash. Um, Lankin plays Blood Rain, who is a vampire. Yeah, I don't even want to get into it. It was just that bad. Just terrible. Um, One that everybody knows. Silent Hill comes out just directly after that. It makes 97.6 million. It's a 32 Rotten Tomatoes. Um, Silent Hill has been a huge game um, across the PlayStation platform, and this was actually a pretty decent movie. Rhonda Mitchell plays Rose. Sean Bean plays Christopher, her husband. Laura Holden plays Sybil. And there's a lot going on in here. We get to see Pyramid Head in this film, and yeah, it's actually a pretty decent film. Um, and I think it's pretty accurate to the video game as well. Not sure why it didn't make more money, but maybe because it was R-rated. I don't know exactly, but you would think that it would have made a little bit more money because people knew what Silent Hill was. Oh boy. Toward the end of 2006, we get one of the absolute worst um, movies I've ever seen. Dead or Alive, DOA, makes 7.5 million at the box office. Uh, Actually got a pretty decent Rotten Tomato score, 33%. Jamie Presley, Devon, Devon Oka, and Holly Vance. Um, yeah, it's just that bad. Eric Roberts is also in this movie. Yeah, that's all you need to know about this movie. But it was a dud. We get Resident Evil Extinction in 2007. Makes $148 million at the box office. Has another director, Russell Mulcahy. Um, Obviously, some of the same characters who have survived. This time now we get Claire Redfield, played by Ali Carter, and Ashante makes her one and only acting debut in a film. Uh, and then there's some others that carry on to the next film as well. Um, they're actually pretty good movies. I don't have anything wrong with them. I know some people started hating them after the second one, but um, again, I thought Resident Evil as a whole series was pretty good. And I could be wrong. Let me know. Let me know. Or you understandable with that. Okay, this one, when I researched it, really had ticked me off. So I had never heard of this game before. And if you have, and you've ever played it, you should drop me a comment and let me know. But as as I was reading this, I absolutely was taken back by somebody who actually wrote this program and actually tried to sell it as a video game. The video game I am questioning is Postal. I don't know if anybody has played this game, but if you have, um, why? Why would you have played this game? I don't know what platform it was on or whatnot, but uh, so Weeble again makes this movie. This time, apparently, his company is no longer, um, and he uses the Postal video game producers as the movie producers on this. So, 2007 at the end, it makes $146,000 at the movie theater, and it gets a 4 Rotten Tomato. It should have gotten a 0. I'm going to tell you why. And then I'm going to tell you who's in this film, and I feel bad for at least one of them in this film. So this film or this video game was based on the uh, whole premise of the 9/11 attacks. So the um, terrorist who flew into the Trade Center, obviously, that wasn't that. It was the one that was over Pennsylvania, Flight 93. The So the premise of this film, and again, this is going to drive me nuts to even say it. And I don't know why I'm even talking about this film. You know what? I'm not even going to bother. But anyway, those people did not die in the Flight 93 landed safely in another country, and the whole premise of this game is years later, Osama bin Laden and George W. Bush are become friendly, and people go postal. If you've ever played this video game, or if you even have seen this movie, and I don't know where you would find this movie either, I wouldn't even want to buy it or even look at it or even want to play this video game if it even exists. The fact that somebody wanted to make a video game like this, or even wanted to produce a movie for this, uh, Absolutely crazy. And I hope this video game does not exist anywhere in the world anymore. And this video or movie hopefully doesn't exist either. So just just absolutely abominable that somebody would create not only a game but a movie about this. It's just, oh boy, again, it boils my blood. It boils my blood. We're going to go with a few more here before we get out of here for this episode. So we've got, in 2007, we get Hitman. This movie makes 101.3 million, only 16% Rotten Tomatoes. Okay. Timothy Olyphant plays Agent 47. I thought he actually did a pretty decent job. And the reason why I bring this up is because in the next one, we're going to talk about Hitman, the sequel to this movie, where he does not play Agent 47. Somebody else takes the role. I actually thought he was okay in this movie. And probably should have been a higher Rotten Tomato score, but again, it's a video game. People probably didn't like the whole premise of of the movie. It is what it is. Finally, we'll talk about two more movies and games. In the Name of the King, a dungeon siege tale. It comes out in January of 2008. Makes 13 million at the box office, and you guessed it, Weeble again. This time cons Fox into somehow making this movie. Now, the cast in this film is actually pretty damn good. So this guy must be an absolute horrendous writer and director for this movie to make only 13 million. So let's look at the people in this movie. Jason Statham, Leela Sobieski. She was a really hot actress at the time. John Rhys Davies from Indiana Jones fame. Ron Perlman, Claire Floriani, another it girl at the time. Cristiano Lincoln, Matthew Lillard, Ray Liotta, and Burt Reynolds. Okay, Burt Reynolds and Ray Liotta being in here, probably not the best at this, but the rest of the film, even Matthew Lillard, doesn't really fit. So those three don't really fit in this movie. So again, Weeble just decides to just murder a video game. And wait till part 2, because he's going to murder a whole bunch more. I don't know who this guy conned into letting him produce any or direct any or write any films about video games. Obviously, clearly, this guy did not like video games and thought it would be fun. Whew, I don't know. And finally, we're going to talk about Far Cry. So Far Cry was a decent video game. It came out in late 2008. It only made 744,000 at the box office. It was the absolute worst rated, one of the worst rated films. It was 0%. Till Swarja plays the lead in Far Cry. All you have to know is Anthony Bourdain from his Food Travel Network series and stuff, who obviously passed away, some time ago, but played in this film. So that's really what you need to know about this film. It is not the best film in the world. So, what do you guys think of the list? And again, video games into movies, so far hasn't looked too good. So I am hoping that Until Dawn makes it through. And we're gonna get to some really good ones here at the end and as we go along. Um, so I want to thank you for listening and like, comment, subscribe, share, do whatever to help me out here. And I will see you guys all at part 2 of this episode.
You like that, baby? Let him know where I came from, yeah!
See you next time. Bye.
Waiting for you. Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Hasta la vista, baby.
That's all, folks.